What is going on, everybody? We are finally back. UFC 324 and UFC 325 have been announced. We're finna talk about that because there's a lot to dive into and a lot, it's a great card. It's a great card, 324 is, but these are just not the right matchups, bro. We're gonna dive into that. But first of all, I want to say I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We've been out. We haven't made videos in like 2 weeks. We've been with the family. We've been busy. But we're back, man. We're back, okay? Let's go ahead and dive into it. Gaethje versus Pimblett, guys. It was actually pretty cool. We made a YouTube short about this, but Dana White and CBS announced this card in halftime of the Cowboys and Chiefs game for the NFL, bro. It was sick. It was special. And I love the fight, okay? Gaethje versus Pimblett. I'm going to start off by saying this is the right fight. This is the right fight. This is the matchup that should be made. Gaethje should be fighting Pimblett. Pimblett should be fighting Gaethje. However, it should not be for the belt, bro. There's no world where this should be for the belt because you have Arman Tsarukyan. What is the UFC doing with Arman Tsarukyan? Why are we screwing him over again? This man's the number one contender who was already the number one contender and then just fought and beat up the number 6 contender who was riding a 3-fight win streak, dominated him, finished him in the second round, took 0 damage, and he doesn't get a chance at an interim title fight, which involves 2 participants? It doesn't make sense, bro. Somebody make it make sense. It literally does not make sense. The UFC does not like Arman Tsarukyan. The UFC's corrupt, bro. The UFC is not sport anymore. It's become, who's the fan favorite? Who's going to, sell more pay-per-views, which I get it. But at the same time, Arman Tsarukyan actually has a pretty decent fan base, and I get that he, ruined UFC 311, but he's not the first fighter in history to pull out of a title fight. Our boy Charles Oliveira, which we all know and loved, has ruined an event and honestly almost ruined Volkanovski's career. That's facts, bro. But anyway, Gaethje versus Pimblett is going to be a sick fight. There's no reason Arman Tsarukyan should not be in here, whether that's against Gaethje or Pimblett or whoever. Okay? And I don't want to hear this excuse, bro. I don't want the UFC to try to make this excuse where, oh, well, Arman Tsarukyan just fought like in November. He shouldn't be ready to turn around and fight in January. That's not true. This man, Arman Tsarukyan, said himself that he wants to fight for the title in January. What are we missing? Well, I don't know, man. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the card. I had to rant about that for a minute. We're not going to talk about matchups necessarily until it gets closer, breaking down the fights. But Gaethje versus Pimblett, you know what? Enough ranting. It's going to be a good fight. But the reason it makes me so mad, not because I'm an Arman Tsarukyan fan, but because this man is not only going to have to wait and miss out on this opportunity, but since this is an interim title fight, since if y'all haven't heard already, Ilia Topuria is taking some time away from the UFC to focus on some family matters, okay? So here's the thing that sucks because Gaethje versus Pimblett is going to go down in January. Ilia Topuria is going to be looking to return in the summer. So is Arman Tsarukyan not going to fight again till 2027? That's what it's looking like. At least for a belt, there's no reason he should fight any other contender. I don't know, man. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe they're thinking they can do Arman versus Charles Part 2, but we're getting Charles versus Holloway, which is all but confirmed. But anyway, guys, I don't know. I don't know what the UFC is doing, bro. They're cooking. This is a great matchup, but this is the fight that should have been made for a number 1 contenders fight while Arman Tsarukyan fights for the title. This should not be the interim fight when you have Arman Tsarukyan, man. But anyway, Gaethje versus Pimblett is going to be a sick stylistic matchup. It's the toughest test for Paddy Pimblett, and I think this is going to be the retirement fight of Justin Gaethje. I just think it is, man. Justin Gaethje, he's been threatening retirement. He's been holding out, trying to get a title fight. I didn't expect him to actually get it. But now that there's an interim title on the line, it makes a little bit more sense. But look, if you're a Gaethje fan, you're being saved. I don't think y'all understand this. He's not going to win this fight, but you're being saved from Gaethje potentially getting flatline KO'd by Ilia Topuria. Whoever wins this fight will ultimately get flatline KO'd by Topuria more than likely, but I don't think Gaethje's going to win this one. He definitely could. I'm picking Paddy Pimblett, though. Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes, I'm so glad this was not the main event. It's a cool fight. It's intriguing in a way. But I'm so glad it's not the main event, guys. There was also rumors. Apparently, Islam was offered to fight in January. His manager, Ali Abdelaziz, came out and said that they tried to offer Islam. They tried to do Islam versus Kamaru Usman for January. Kamaru Usman, who I get, is a former champion. I love me some Kamaru Usman. He's the second greatest welterweight of all time, but last I checked, man, he's 1-3 in his last 5. You cannot tell me the UFC is not becoming a popularity contest, bro. Right in front of our eyes. And I get it. They have to make money. It's an entertainment business at the end of the day. But man, we got to find some middle ground. We got to find a way to combine the two, combine sport and entertainment, bro. But anyway, there was also rumors of Ian Gary versus Islam. That was also an offer. Islam turned him down, or Habib actually turned him down, which it makes sense. He doesn't need to be turning around fighting in November and January. But anyway, guys, this card is stacked, bro. We got Kayla Harrison Nunes as the co-main to Patty Gaethje. We've got Sean O'Malley in a feature fight. Sean O'Malley finally in a 3-rounder again. This fight's going to be fireworks. Song Yadong's a great striker. He's got some power in his hands. This is a good fight. It's a good stylistic matchup for O'Malley, who's the longer striker. I think O'Malley's going to get it done, but this is a good bounce-back fight for O'Malley, and if he loses this, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Maybe O'Malley goes and tries his hand at boxing. I'm playing. He's still a legit contender. If he loses this, it's still a good loss, but he'll have to build himself back up, man. We got Derek Lewis fighting Where's Waldo Cortez Acosta, man. He's been calm for this fight for a little bit. Cortez Acosta just knocked out Mildil Gaethje, unfortunately. I don't know who's going to win this fight. We're not making predictions right now, but I hope Derek Lewis. I hope Derek Lewis knocks this dude out, bro. Arnold Allen versus John Silva, another banger matchup. Arnold Allen, who I thought might be moving up to the lightweight division, is finally back in action. This man has not fought since I don't know when, okay? This man fought in summer of 2024. We haven't seen him since. Arnold Allen is one of the best featherweights on the roster, and he's been inactive. I don't really know why. I don't even know if he's been injured. I think he's genuinely just been sitting out. But this is a banger fight. Great test for John Silva. It's a hard bounce-back fight. I'm kind of upset that John Silva's sort of getting rewarded with the number 6 ranked fighter when he's coming off a loss. But it makes sense. John Silva is one of the best featherweights on the roster as well. Maybe Arnold Allen can bounce back. This would be a massive win for either guy, man. We got Rose versus Alexa Grasso potentially on the prelims. I love that, okay? I absolutely love that, all right? Moving down the card, bro. We're not even finished. I know the card's not complete, or I don't think it is. But it's pretty stacked already. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. Beautiful matchmaking. I actually don't. You know what? Actually, let me take that back. The fight doesn't make so much sense because Umar's already the number 1 contender, and Figgy is not even coming off a win. It's a sick stylistic matchup. That's what I'm trying to say. But this fight would have been cooler before Figgy fought Sandhagen. But anyway, still a great fight. I'm still going to be super pumped about it. Atiba Gauthier coming in to fight again. Probably going to get a first-round KO, bro. The card overall is very, very good. It's actually great. I'm just a little bit upset at Gaethje Pimblett being for the interim belt. But also, guys, we got leaked UFC 325. Just the main event has been confirmed. And this is just another instance of it's not the best fighting the best necessarily. But Diego Lopez has become a fan favorite and has got the title shot again. It's going to be a sick fight, bro. I'm a Volkanovski fan. I hope Volkanovski does it again. I'm a Diego fan as well, but this sounds like it's going to be Volk's retirement fight, man. And this one's not as extreme as Arman Tsarukyan, but Diego Lopez just knocked out John Silva, which was great. But he just fought for the belt a fight prior to that against Volkanovski. Volkanovski's been out of action, not because he wanted to, but because the UFC did not have him an opponent yet. Which is odd because Movsar Evloev has a win over Diego Lopez. He's also undefeated in the UFC, and he should be the number 1 contender fighting Volkanovski. The UFC doesn't like him. The UFC is becoming so much of an entertainment business that they're kind of pushing away these fighters that are so very skilled and talented because they're either boring. I get it. Evloev has not been the most active fighter. But at the same time, that's not even the only fighter. Lerone Murphy's also in the division, who's also undefeated, also coming off a spinning elbow knockout victory. I think either of those guys, man, Evloev or Lerone Murphy, could have earned this title fight over Lopez. We've already seen this fight, man, and it's a real chance this fight does play out differently, and I think it might. I actually kind of favor Lopez going into the rematch, especially with more time off for Volkanovski, but It's a good fight. The first fight was a banger. It's just not the right fight to make, bro. I feel like UFC matchmaking is just getting bad. It's getting worse and worse. Lopez versus Volk's a great fight. We've already seen it. And we saw it last year in Volk's last fight. If Volkanovski's going to retire, bro, I don't want to see this man get chinned. I don't want to see this man get chinned. I want to see him tested against Evloev, an elite grappler, or Lerone Murphy, a different test, okay? Two fighters that are undefeated. And this is the thing, bro. Volkanovski called for both of those fighters. He didn't want Lopez. Of course, he's going to sign the contract and fight whoever the UFC gives him, but he verbally called out Evloev. The UFC said, nah, we got other plans, buddy. He called out Lerone Murphy. He thought Lerone was going to be next in December. The UFC said, nah, hey, Lerone, Diego Lopez is here, okay? So all in all, I'm still excited. I'm not trying to sit here and just complain the whole time. It's going to be a good fight. I hope they stack the card, but it is in Australia. At least it's not Canada. They do Canada dirty, but it feels like the card's not going to be super stacked. We'll have to see what happens, though, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I just wanted to rant a little bit about how the UFC is kind of pushing these contenders to the side to have these more entertaining fights or bigger names in the division fight for the belt instead. It sucks. I get where they're coming from, sort of, but it sucks, man. But anyway, guys, let me know y'all's thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button, man. If you're new, hit the subscribe button as well, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we out.